21st of December, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos.
Your picture froze, Roy, but I guess you can hear us. Oh,
Well, good morning, everyone.
morning, Rabbi.
Morning, Rabbi.
Good to see you all. Everyone staying warm and dry.
Good morning. About first.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Elvis. Good morning, Barry. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Lou.
Good morning.
Good morning to everyone. Okay, Rabbi Shlomo Furst here to see with Samanafni in Yerushalayim care of Zoom. We're learning our first shir this morning, Pierke Avos, the fifth parak, Maimon Rebbe Shmuel. We'll bring up on your screen, which you'll see in a moment, the where we left off yesterday. Okay, we're in the middle of the Maharal Prague, and if you remember, the Maharal Prague made a distinction between. Again, let me just read the Maimer, Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel Oimer Harikal Rosh should be submissive to the authority. Or superior. Rather, you should call it Rosh. You should be submissive to someone who's superior to you. And you should be, and as the Maharal is explaining, you should be easy. Agreeable. You should be agreeable. Let's put it that way. You should be agreeable to the authorities. So the Maharal Prague is explaining. Kal Rosh means you should be submissive to a superior, and Noyach Lishchoros, you should be agreeable to the authority. Right, to the authority figure. And he explains the difference between someone who's superior and someone who's an authority figure is that the person who's superior, he has, because as he mentioned, he has a special virtue in and of himself that makes him worthy of your respect and even your love. Right? So therefore he's superior to you because of some intrinsic virtue that he possesses himself, like he explains the Talmid Chacham. The Talmid Chacham, because of the Torah he knows and he has learned, right? The Talmid Chacham possesses an intrinsic superiority of a person who's not a Talmid Chacham, and therefore it's a obligation to connect to that person and to respect him, and also to, as we say, be kal, to be submissive to that person. And the Maharal says that also brings about an ava. And in contrast, the person who's mishkara, he's an authority figure, but because of no particular mila that he possesses himself, he simply happens to be in a situation or a position of authority. So therefore, you should be agreeable to them. You don't have to be agreeable to them. Also includes being submissive, but doesn't include, as the Maharal purposely left out, it doesn't include being agreeable to them in terms of loving them. We'll see from the very beginning here at this paragraph, the first paragraph on the second page of the document there. Let's maybe start again from there. We got a few lines into this, but we're doing the Chazorah. V'keneged Rishon. That means that I'm a Habi Kal Rosh. Who would like to do some reading for us to begin with?
Who would?
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate your vote of confidence.
No, Lou, you didn't know that Barry was a prophet, did you? But now we know.
The Keneged Harishon, Amar Hayu Kal Larosh. Corresponding to first, that says you should be submissive to the leader, to who Rosh Mitzad Atzmo, that he is the leader from his own perspective.
Well, Mitzad Atzmo, on his own, meaning there's something intrinsic within him that makes him the superior, the leader.
Va'amar sheyeh nishma lo v'yeh kal alav. That is to say that it should be that we understand, that we're understanding towards him, and we are easy with him.
Well, v'haya kal elav la'avosoy oisoy. And it's kal, it's easy for us to have love for him.
Yishvil ma'ala shabo yiyeh kal alav. Because it goes up to him to be easy with him.
Well, it's v'haya kal elav la'avosoy so b'shvil ma'ila shabo. It's easy to love him b'shvil, because of ma'ila shabo, because of his virtue. Shahaya kal elav, that it's easy, is davikbo. It's therefore easy to cling to him.
Yistavak bo, to cling to him. Kol ma she efshar, in everything that it's possible,
Right. So
in every way possible.
right. So when you have a leader, right? When you have a leader, and he possesses some type of a virtue, right? So it's easy to love him. Remember what they Barry. Remember what they said about George Washington.
He never told a lie.
He chopped down a cherry tree.
First in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen.
Oh, there we go. But maybe that's because he never told a lie. But why was he first in the hearts of his countrymen? He must have had a friend on Madison Avenue, Barry. No.
It was a good phrase. Yeah, he was. I mean, we really felt bad when we were tearing down his statues.
Anyway, but you should know though, George Washington, I'm not sure if you know, but he once issued when he was in the general of the Continental Army, he once issued a letter to the whole army, particularly to the officers, right? That he complained against the officers that were using foul language. They were using curse words. He was very unhappy that especially the officers who should set a good example for the rest of the troops. He was very upset that the officers were being very loose with their language, and he said he didn't believe that an army which would use such expressions could have success. So he issued a general order to all the officers that they have to set a good example for all of the troops to use only good language. Right. So he set a good example, and it could be that he had some certain virtues, as the moral is explained. He had some virtues in and of himself, and that made him could be why he wrote such a nice thing about him, first in the hearts of his countrymen. The people were very fond of George Washington. At least that's what the historians say.
Except for the royalists.
Yeah, well, there's always opposition. What can we do?
Yeah. After the war was over, there were still quite a percentage of people who still felt loyal to the crown, to England.
Right, well.
So
it could
Well,
always
they
go to
probably
think they
moved
were-
out of New Jersey then.
Is this a shear on George Washington or something
So-
else?
Rabbi, first, what I was wondering, all
Yeah.
that we've read so far, this
Uh-huh.
certainly would apply, I'm thinking of my youth, to teachers.
Yeah, I would definitely, I mean, that, of course, I mean, obviously, I mean, if you have a certain respect for the teacher, if you see some type of a characteristic of the teacher which you admire, it's obviously going to be a much easier relationship that you'll have with the teacher, and that's very important. I imagine the teachers that have the most difficulties are the teachers that don't really have much to admire about themselves.
Right.
That they're just they're whatever, but so the children or the students don't really have any real affinity and affection for the teacher, which makes their job much more difficult.
Yep. Okay.
There was a movie called To Serve with Love,
Okay,
and
right.
it was
how many stars did it get?
the theme of that was that, it was a tough class, but in the end, they all had love for the teacher.
Yep. That's right. Hard love. Huh.
Uh-huh. What changed their minds?
It was in the script.
He was very strict with them,
Okay,
and that's why it's to Sir. They had to refer to him as Sir
okay,
with love.
uh-huh.
The title kind of summarizes the theme.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, we'll see. So we see a little bit of this by there's a contrast between Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen, as you probably well remember that when Aaron was nifter, so it said Kol Beis Israel, meaning even the men, the women, the children, everyone was mourning for Aaron, and
For a longer time.
yeah.
They mourned, right? They mourned for Aaron HaKohen longer than they did for Moshe.
Yeah, I think I'm not. I have to take a look at the psukim and see what it says again. I don't. So you see that there was more of a loss felt over the loss of Aaron than that of Moshe. And Rashi explains it because Aaron was involved with making shalom between Ish v'Ishto, Ben Alam Chaveroi, and which always bothered me. I never could understand. I mean, I understand it very well, but it was bothering me that what was Aaron so busy making shalom amongst all those people for? You would think, right? You would think that in the midbar they had their food from the man, they had water from the Bear Miriam, they had the Anani club cover. They didn't have to do laundry, as Rashi explains in Sefer Devarim. Their shoes grew along with them. There was nothing to do except sit and learn Torah. Right? Nothing to do. They had no chores to do. They had no parnasa to make, and yet look, Aaron was busy making shalom between people. So I always use this as a proof that Gashmias, although it's necessary, is no guarantee that you're going to have peace and quiet amongst yourselves.
I always thought that one of the reasons he was busy making shalom was because they didn't have to work, they didn't need parnosa, everything was provided, so the men didn't have to work, so they were home all day with their wives. So there was always fighting because the husbands and wives were home together all day.
I thought they were in the base medrash. I thought they had to. I thought they had to go to Shirim. Moshe Rabbeinu was giving Shirim, and I thought they had to go to the Shirim from Moshe Rabbeinu. I thought they were learning, but I'll have to check. I have to find out about that. I'm not sure. In any event, that's a couple of illustrations of what the Maharal is teaching us here. When you have somebody who's considered a Rosh, he's a superior, but he's superior because he has some intrinsic self virtue that he possesses, and that virtue that he possesses brings a person to desire to be close to that person. As in contrast, as we'll see, to the person who's simply just a authority figure because he happens to be given that position of power. That's what we'll say over here. Right. Ubezeh, well, just the middle of the second line. Ubezeh shayach, still going on the first thing. Kal the rosh.
Zeh shayich kal kamo hadam shehu kal birigala reglav ruach. And in this, it is fitting to be easy, like a person that he is quick to run.
Quick on its feet.
Kal baragla, right? He's Kal baragla v'rotz acher echad b'shvil avoso. He's it's like a person who's fast on his feet to run after a person because of the fact that he loves him.
Right. It's fitting for a person to be quick on his feet and run after somebody that he loves.
Right.
The oso shehu baal memshala, and he that is a of authority figure, vishrara, in command, who goes there alecha, and he makes decrees upon you, tehei nuach lo, you should be agreeable with him, likabel memshalto, to accept his leadership, the gaz iraso va'al tehei misarav, and to accept his decrees and to not be contentious inegdo against him. The vilti mikabel gezerosav bishraraso, and to not accept his decrees and his commands.
So you.
So in other words, if a
that's
person is
Yeah.
is an authority figure without necessarily the virtue, it's still appropriate to listen to him.
right. But and in that, we see, however, the difference between the expression kal and noyach, right? Meaning kal is the morals explained is like quick, meaning you should be quick and to fulfill the will of that person who is a roish, meaning has virtues which you admire, and so that naturally will make you quick to fulfill his desires. In contrast, the person who's only a mishoror, he's only an authority figure, but you don't have any particular admiration for that person. Nevertheless, even though you don't admire him and there's no love for that person, you should still be noyach. You should be agreeable to his decrees. I mean, you don't have to go out of your way to love him, and you don't necessarily go and run after him because you don't admire him. But nevertheless, since he's an authority figure, right, you should be agreeable to what he's saying. When the cop pulls a person off on the side of the road, right, he's the worst person in the world you want to see at that moment, right? You don't want to see that, right? And but nevertheless, you're going to be very nice to him, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know,
Otherwise,
'cause you
you're in
know-
trouble. We'll throw you in the clinker.
Yeah, and yeah, and it could make it could make a difference in how much you're gonna have to pay, right? What guy is he gonna give you a, you know, a ticket for going 85 in a 60-mile zone, or he's gonna give you a ticket for going 110 in a 65 zone, you know?
That's right.
And you know, that's up to him, whether he likes you or not. You know, he's obviously interested in getting a little bit of you know, admiration from his prey. You know, he's sitting there on the side of the road, you know, in the hedge bushes, waiting for the fast cars to go by, and then he finds his prey. So if he finds his prey and they give him a little you know, a little entertainment while he's writing out the ticket, maybe he'll give you a, you know, a $50 less ticket. So it pays to be nice to him, even though you don't have to, you don't have to admire him in any way whatsoever. But nevertheless, since he's in a position of power and command at that point, so it's worth your while to be noyak, to be agreeable with him.
Rabbi, why
Yes,
do you use the,
Yes,
why do you use the
Rabbi,
word,
Shalom, how are you?
Rabbi, why do you use the word pray when somebody's enforcing the safety laws? I don't know if that word is appropriate.
What word?
I didn't, could you just repeat that? I didn't hear, you were breaking up a bit. I didn't hear your whole comment, Rabbi.
Do you hear me? You use the
Yes, go
word,
ahead.
you use the word pray. He is enforcing the safety laws, trying to save people's lives. Why are we using the word, a negative word, pray?
What?
You know where most people get tickets?
By violating the laws.
That's right, when they cross the state line.
Okay.
Does
He
anyone
has a
know what
quote
I
of
mean?
tickets. He has a quote of tickets. We know that. Okay. But I don't want,
No,
I don't like the word pray. That's the only concern I have.
What word is he saying? Pay?
Pray, I use the word pray.
P-R-E-Y.
Right, pray.
P-R-E-Y?
Yep.
Like to prey on someone?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh,
But you look, they're waiting at the state line for the newcomers to come into state. And
That's right.
they have a few spots near the Pennsylvania Turnpike exits that when you come off, you're so used to traveling at high speeds and you get onto these highways and you forget where you're at and you don't apply to the local speed law and they just nail you right away. Those little villages there made a fortune.
but no, to tell you the truth, Aaron's right. They're really there. It's good that they're there because they're really trying to. It's really for the benefit of the public that they should. Because if you're going into a new state, right, and you don't know the laws, right, so it could cause accidents, Hasa Sholem. So they're waiting there right at the beginning of the state line to greet you with a ticket because you violated the state law. Traffic, but you won't make that mistake again. So it's actually to people's benefit.
Okay.
I don't know if they're doing it l'shem shemayim, but they're doing it nevertheless.
They're doing it to make their quota. It's true. They all have quotas.
Okay, let's continue. So then where we see over here, right? So okay, right. Now that's where we are now. This is where we're actually leaving off from. We're in the middle of that fourth line from the top.
V'achar kach amar v'hayu mikabel es kol adam b'simcha. And afterwards, it says that one should accept or receive all people with happiness. But he's not quoting it exactly because he doesn't have the hey.
That's correct. That's right. Correct. So he could be understanding that it's involving dealing with everybody rather than dealing with the whole person. Which
Right.
also which could be valid, meaning that the diak of the hay is definitely a proper diak to be made. But if maybe if you want to loosely translate it and loosely understand it, you could apply it to everybody as well. That's how most translations and probably most commentaries would actually deal with that. How they're not so didactic, analytical in terms of the hay of the ha'ado, which could be valid as well. Could be valid. Yeah.
Aval gav she'ein lo chashivus vishrar. Even though that he's not important and commanding yoter mi micha, more than you. Yesh lecha lekabel oso b'simcha. Nevertheless, it is appropriate for you to receive him with happiness.
Right. So even a person who's less important and less authoritative than you, it's still important that you receive them with simcha. Someone was just telling me they were recently at a chasana, and there was some, when you went by a chasana, or if you're one of the Bali Simchas, you're one of the main family members of the simcha. So you have many people want to give you mazel tov, shake your hand, give you a bracha. So it's a very hard job sometimes to greet each and every person individually with the same amount of enthusiasm as each and every other person. And some person was discussing with me that they felt a little not slighted, but they were trying to put a damper on their desire to be at that chasana. They made a big trip. It was chasana was out of town, and they had to travel, and it wasn't easy, and they made a big effort to come to the chasana, and so there was that line of people, and when their turn came to they felt they weren't given the proper greeting worthy of their presence there, and so trying to put a downer on them, wanting to have to be at that chasana. They didn't want to go in there anyway to begin with so much, but it was sort of like obligatory.
Yeah, but usually the parents who are putting on the chasanas, they're under so much stress. There's so much stuff going on and problems going on, and they're so distracted that you have to give them some slack. That they wouldn't properly give him the greeting that he thought he deserved.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you have to live up to the occasion. Like if you were that politician trying to get all those votes, you wouldn't slack off, would you, Barry?
Yeah, it's true, very true. But that's a job.
By the way, we were speaking about chasanas. I just want to mention, Baruch Hashem, we made a l'chaim for one of our sons this Motzei Shabbos.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Mazel tov. That's
Thank
great.
you, thank you.
Mazel tov.
Bez Hashem, thank you. Amen by you all, Bez Simchas by you, all of you as well, and your mishpacha as well, Mitzvah Hashem.
Amen.
Yeah, Bez Hashem. We're working on when the chassan is going to actually be, so I'll let you know. Probably sometime, hopefully before Pesach, we'll see. Mitzvah Hashem Yisborah. But yeah, you're right, Barry. There's a lot of stresses, and but nevertheless, when we were taught that you should be mekabel es kol adam b'simcha, so again, Chazal aren't going to teach us things which are necessarily going to be easy, nor going to be self-evident, right? If it was something was self-evident, we wouldn't really have to have Chazal teach us that. So, I mean, what's like, we just ask, what's the Kiddush? Makabel as call other Besimcha. What's the Kiddush there? Obviously, I mean, it's Elam Alekim, they're fellow Jews. Even if they're not Jews, as I said, it's Elam Alekim. You know, don't they deserve a good, happy, wholehearted smile and greeting from you? So, even the bus driver, even the like I told you, the elevator operator, in your office building, each and every person deserves a good, wholehearted greeting from you with happiness and joy. So, but it's not easy. Something which is not easy. Especially like you're the chassan, as you said, there are stresses and things that see going on, and you're trying to keep up. It's been probably a few days of real true lack of sleep, and there are more days of lack of sleep coming up. And yeah, that's nevertheless, that's what we're expected to try and do. But with Siyata Dishmaya, you manage Bez Hashem. Okay, let's continue on.
Kabbalah's punim.
Yeah, that's right.
Musar ze gam kain melamed hadam hanhaga im habrios. And the Musar is the ethics.
Like advice, this advice. Musar's advice. Now I'll tell you what's the difference between Musar and Tochacha, right? Tochacha, when you rebuke somebody, that's something which happened in the past. Okay, Musar is you're giving directives, you're giving advice on how to be successful in the future.
What's the difference between Musar and a Eitzah?
So Eitzah is the technical aspect of what you want to tell them, right?
More
And-
detail.
Thanks. Yes.
It's the Musar is going to the group, the shorish, the source of what you want them to do. The advice is basically, look, you give a person advice. Look, you have to smile at everybody. Smile at everybody. I'm giving you some advice. You want to win the presidency of this shul. You want to become elected president, so you better smile at everybody when you come into davening, right? You should know that you're a friendly, happy person, and that'll help you get the presidency of the shul if that's what you're interested in doing, right? So that's all you have to just give me advice to smile at everybody. So, but the Musar is, if you go into the details and explain to him the source of what the advice is based upon, that's the Musar.
The Musar is like advice that you're giving somebody to help improve him, as opposed to Eitzah, which is advice you're giving him to help him figure out how to succeed.
Yeah, that's also true. That's good. Okay, fine, good.
Okay, so this advice also, or it is advisable also to teach a person how to act with other people. Sheyeh ha'adam nohag im habrios kiroi, that a person should act with people properly.
All right.
V'yesh lecha lehavin elu gimel divarim, and it is for you to understand these three things. V'del asher yesh ben harosh, to distinguish that someone who is a leader, the choras, and is elderly,
Well, here, Hishtachor, again, Rosh is a superior, and Hishtor is someone who is like a ruler, right? So that's the way the way the morale is explaining. It's Shishkoros, is someone who's a ruler. He has authority and command. But
Okay, so
he may not necessarily be a superior, meaning, let's say the state trooper. What happens when the state trooper pulls over one of the senator from the for this? He's a state trooper for the state of Oklahoma, and he pulls over the senator was speeding. He pulls him over.
howdy,
Well,
Senator. How are you today? So nice to see you. Have a good day, sir.
That's the way it works, huh?
Should have picked Alabama.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, let's continue. So the morale again is he's a mishkoros, is someone who has authority and command. Right.
So this is the first of the three, is the leader who's the ruler.
Right. So he's making a there are gimel yesh lavim elu gimel devarim hevdol asher yesh ben rosh l'shkoros. He's going to explain that there seem to be three different distinctions between a person who is a rosh, meaning he's a superior, because again he has some inherent virtue in and of himself, and someone who's simply in a position of authority, without any necessarily personal virtue involved.
Oh! It's between the Rosh and the Choras.
Yes, I believe so.
Ah, okay. Uma Shamar She. I have a quote after the Sheyigel.
Let's see.
Is that an abbreviation?
Yeah, that's she. Yeah, that's an abbreviation. There should be another hey over there, if I'm not mistaken. That's just like apostrophe sign.
You didn't save much ink with the hey.
Yeah, you should realize that a lot of the abbreviations and Rashi tables that we have in Sfarim, because when they had offset printing, right? Offset printing. So a lot of times they didn't have they had to conserve their typeset, because they didn't have if they used a lot of haze, right? They'd run out of haze very quickly. So sometimes you'd have to conserve on haze by dropping off the last hay.
Interesting.
Yeh is also Hashem's name. We don't want to write Hashem's name.
Mikabel es hadam b'simcha. So, and this, that it says that one should receive all people with happiness. Ki heim al pi ha chama. Since they are wise.
It's al pi chachmi. There's a wisdom behind it. It's like sichliistic. There's a rationale behind it. There's a wisdom and rationale behind it.
Uma shamar kan v'hayu kabel kol adam b'simcha, and that it says here that one should receive all people with happiness. Shamai V'Shamai Amar, Lemala, V'Sever Panim Yafos. And Shammai says above that it means
Right.
with a pleasant countenance. Kol
Well,
echad,
Shammai said previously that you should makabel kol adam b'sever panim yafos, and here Rabbi Yishmael is saying you should makabel everybody b'simcha. So there's a difference between the two of them. That's what the Maharal is going to take up now. He's going to point out this point now.
I thought Shammai was clarifying what the simcha meant.
No. It's something that we had the Rambam mentioned that what Rabbi Yishmael is saying is more. There's a additional aspect to what Rabbi Yishmael is saying than what Shammai said.
Okay. Kol echad lefi ha-inyan kol lema'ala.
Kila malaba, because above.
I'm sorry, what was that, Rabbi?
He's explaining kol echad lefi inyan, each thing according to the circumstance. Meaning they're not arguing, right? It's that sometimes you have to apply sever panim yafos, and sometimes you have to apply simcha, depending on the circumstance.
Okay. Ki lemala ba Shammai lomar she'im lo yikabel oso l'sever panim yafos. Okay, so this that was the virtue of Shammai.
Well, lamala here means above. When it was said above that Shammai said about being makabel, right? The sever panim yafos, he was saying it because of the following: im lo yikabel.
And if you don't receive him with a pleasant countenance, az nir es she'ein chavero nena mimenu, then it seems that your friend will not benefit from you.
Right, that he's not getting any pleasure from him. Meaning, when you greet somebody and you're not showing him a happy face, so the person immediately realizes that you're not happy seeing him, right?
Right.
So, and and the question is, why is he not happy? He's not happy to see me, meaning he's not getting any pleasure in seeing me. So that puts the person in a bad feeling.
V'hu tsar al hadam, and this is painful to a person. Kasher ein chavero nena mimenu, because his friend is not pleased with him.
Good, very good.
Ulefichach amar sheikabel oso b'sever panim yafos, and therefore he says that one should receive him with a pleasant countenance. He davar zeh hu kavod la'adam biyoter, because this is showing a person more honor. You there? Rabbi, are you frozen?
Oh, we lost the rabbi, huh? Oh, no.
Yeah,
So
we're
I'm
having a
moving, but I
little
don't hear him.
difficulty on the line here. Okay. So lefikach amar kebel oso b'sever panim yafos davar zehu kav l'adam biyos.
Rabbi, you're coming and going. I think you're going.
Oh, no, he's coming now.
Can you repeat that, Rabbi? I only heard part of what
Am
you
I
said.
still there with you? Okay, fine, I guess it's a good time to stop now anyway. This last point is clear?
I think so. It's clear to me.
Okay, very good. All right, good. We'll make a break here and start Mr. Grush here in a few moments. And Roy, hope to see you tomorrow. And we'll be back with the next year in a few moments.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Rabbi.
very good.